Hi you guys, it's Arielle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. In today's video, I wanted to go over the top 10 things I did in Paris in 2022, and I figured it could be useful and maybe give you guys some inspiration if you yourself are planning a trip to Paris this year. The very first thing that came to mind when I was creating this list was spending the Fête de la Musique at Montmartre last year, and the Fête de la Musique means the celebration of music, and has actually been going on since 1982. Back then, the Ministry of Culture actually surveyed the entire population and found that over 5 million French people could play an instrument. So they were like, wow, what a waste. And dedicated an entire day, which is June 21st, the summer solstice, to a day when all artists and musicians could come and perform anywhere they wanted in the city, and everyone could just come together and celebrate music. Like I said, last year I spent the Fête de la Musique dancing in the streets of Montmartre. There were tons of DJs and live bands. It was really, really fun. And probably the highlight of the night was later on in the evening when we found a sort of drag show. So there was this apartment or a studio that was really high up in one of the buildings, and they just threw open the windows, and in every single window you had a fabulous drag queen, and they were blasting these throwback hits and dancing, and everyone on the street was singing along and dancing, and it was just super fun. What's wild too is that during the Fête de la Musique, they don't really reinforce the curfew where everyone has to be quiet by 11 p.m. I think we were probably dancing in the streets until the very last metro around like 2 a.m. Another really cool thing that I did last year was celebrate Galentine's Day at the delicious Italian restaurant called Ma Lucia. In the spirit of love and friendship, I always try to organize a little Galentine's Day dinner with my girlfriends, and last year I did it at Ma Lucia. This is hands down one of my most favorite restaurants in Paris. It's located in the 11th arrondissement, and it's very cozy. The food is delicious and authentic, and the owner is the most charming woman you'll ever meet. She's so friendly, and she was kind enough to allow me to bring all my friends in and come a little bit early and decorate. I had confetti and candles, and I brought in these little Rice Krispie treat valentines for all my friends. It was a really, really fabulous night. The company was good, the food was amazing, and the location was top tier. The third experience that I want to share with you guys is walking along the Seine at sunset. And this one evening in particular that I'm thinking of is just such a core memory for me because I have never experienced anything so beautiful in Paris. I'll try and put a clip into this video if the music isn't copyrighted, but basically I ended up spending the whole day visiting Paris with a friend, and as we were nearing the evening, we decided to grab ice cream and then head down to the Seine. And as we're walking along, there's this beautiful classical music floating in the air, and we pass under a bridge, and on the other side there's this violinist who's playing away just beside the Seine with the sunset in the background. And I don't know exactly what song he was playing, but it was so mesmerizing. My heart was full. I really felt like I was in a movie. To this point, I also wanted to add in the Seine in general. I've had so many picnics along the Seine, I couldn't even pick my favorite one, but it really is the most fun and affordable and wholesome way to enjoy an afternoon with your friends. There's nothing that beats enjoying a fresh baguette and cheese and wine with your girlfriends in the heart of Paris. The fourth most amazing thing that I did this year in Paris was join a basketball team. And this one isn't necessarily associated to a specific location in Paris or even a certain activity. I mean, I joined a basketball team, but I would highly recommend that if you just moved to Paris, you maybe consider joining a sports team or a club or an activity that you're really interested in. And this was really essential for me because it gave me a reason to get out of the apartment, to get active, to practice my French, and to meet a really amazing group of people that have become some of my closest friends in Paris. You can find many different groups and activities and sports teams through the city of Paris, or you can honestly just go on Google and type in the activity that you're looking for, like maybe volleyball, and then just add in Club pour adultes, club for adults. The next experience that I wanted to share with you guys was the Journée de la Patrimoine, which I spent last year at the Centre Pompidou. The Journée de la Patrimoine, or European Heritage Day, happens over a weekend in September when all sorts of iconic cultural sites and even some secret spaces that aren't normally open to the public open their doors to celebrate art and culture. Venues all over the city allow you to come and see different art installations, performances, concerts, concepts, workshops. Everything is free and there are literally hundreds of events to choose from. Last year, I spent the Journée de la Patrimoine at the Centre Pompidou with some friends, and this is a modern art museum, and what was so cool about the event on this evening is that they had a vintage Yves Saint Laurent collection on display. The dresses were fabulous. It was really fun to step back in the time capsule that they had created. And on top of that, the panoramic view from the top of the Centre Pompidou is absolutely breathtaking. There really are so many activities to choose from. If you're visiting Paris in September, I would highly recommend that you do some research in advance and figure out exactly where you want to go. There are some events that require tickets. For years, I've wanted to spend my Journée de la Patrimoine at the Dior Atelier, but because it's free, the tickets go so fast and I've never been able to snag them. So yeah, if you're coming in September, definitely think ahead for this one. The sixth item on my list is when my best friend Myra actually came to visit me from Canada, and we went shopping at Sézanne and the Puces. Now don't get me wrong, we did so many amazing things during the week that she was here. It was smiles 24/7, but these two stick out for me, I guess. The reason I enjoyed shopping at Sézanne with Myra is because I really felt like it was a very accessible luxury experience. I mean, Sézanne is not cheap by any means, but it's definitely not like Chanel or Dior or Hermes. And for what you're getting, I do think it's a fair price. The store is beautiful. The clothes are made beautifully. They fit your body so perfectly. And basically, Myra and I went in. She wanted to try on some dresses, so we picked them out. And they led us downstairs to where all the change rooms were. And it was so luxurious and so fabulous. And I don't know, I think it was just so much fun because the dresses and the overall experience really made you feel like a princess. Then we also did some shopping at Les Puces, and I don't remember which one in particular. I think there's 5 or 6 in Paris. But basically, the Puces is the Parisian take on a garage sale. You basically have stalls and stalls of vendors who sell everything antique, everything vintage, from furniture to clothing to art to massive chandeliers the size of a truck. Ultimately, we didn't buy anything, but it was really fun to weed our way through the maze of stalls and to look at antique and unique pieces of furniture from a culture that isn't necessarily our own. And I think on top of that, it was also a little bit more interesting for us because both Myra and I are more into home decor and interior decorating at the moment, as you can tell by the videos on my channel. So it was really nice to peruse what was available and talk to each other about what styles we liked and what we didn't. The 7th experience that I want to share, and also a core memory for me, was bowling on my birthday. That was one of the most fun, if not the most fun evening for me ever in France. Basically, I dragged all of my friends to the outskirts of Paris to a huge bowling alley. We drank, we ate cake, we bowled for hours, and then we ended up taking the city bikes like through a forest, back to downtown, and out to a bar to continue the celebrations. But for the purposes of this video, I really wanted to highlight the bowling alley that we went to in Paris because it was so much fun. We ended up going on a Friday night, so everything was glow in the dark. And the bowling alley itself is located right beside the Marne River. So as we were waiting for everyone to arrive and having a few drinks on the terrace, the scenery itself was really gorgeous. The next item is going to the Orangerie Museum and then to the Bouillon Pigalle for dinner. Last summer, another one of my friends, Henry, came to visit me from Canada, and we started our evening by going to the Orangerie, which is a museum that's located in the Jardin des Tuileries. The most famous piece in this museum is definitely Monet's water lilies, and I think on the night in particular that we went, it was like the 100th anniversary of the paintings, and so they had tons of different live performances set up. My favorite one was definitely the pianist that was set up right in the middle of the oval room with all of the water lilies around. You got to sit down and soak in all of the art with music that was perfectly matched to the theme. Also, because the Orangerie is located in the Jardin des Tuileries, you can make a whole evening of it, and once you're done with the museum, you can go wander in the gardens. After the museum, we went to my absolute favorite restaurant in Paris, the Bouillon Pigalle. I highly recommend that you check out this restaurant if you're in Paris and you're looking for authentic French cuisine at an affordable price. I normally get the onion soup as an entree, the steak frites as my main, and then a profiterole as my dessert. And I also have an apéritif and wine with my meal, and my bill is normally under 20 euros. The 9th experience that I wanted to share was celebrating my friend Nikki's birthday at midnight. You guys might have already seen this one if you saw my most recent vlog, but basically at midnight we went down to the Eiffel Tower and celebrated Nikki's birthday. I think the Eiffel Tower is not only symbolic of love, but for any international person who's dreamed of moving to Paris, it's a surreal experience to be there and watch it sparkle right at midnight. So bringing all of our friends together in this area and celebrating Nikki just felt really, really special. The 10th and final experience on my list is rollerblading. My friend David actually introduced me to this group called Paris Roller, and it's an association that works with the city of Paris. Essentially what they do is every Friday they determine a route that you'll take throughout the city, and they'll block it off so it's only accessible to rollerbladers and not cars, so it's not dangerous. I really love ice skating outdoors back home in Canada, and discovering this new sport was so much fun and reminded me of home. On top of that, I met a really cool group of people, I got to practice my French, and I got to discover the city of Paris by night. And for good measure, I'll add an 11th experience to this list, which kind of borders onto 2023, but basically it was spending New Year's Eve at the very top of Paris. On the 31st, after a delicious raclette, my boyfriend and I ended up at the very top of a tower in Paris on an outdoor terrace. We got to enjoy this really magical, very romantic view of the city. We had the Eiffel Tower sparkling in the background, and then we rang in the new year watching the fireworks show that was going off at the Arc de Triomphe. Voila, those are some of the coolest things that I did in Paris last year. I hope it gives you guys some inspiration for when you travel to Paris, and if there's anything I missed, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.